Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. The bipartisan House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection released another round of subpoenas today, targeting a number of high-profile allies of former President Donald Trump. This comes on the heels of that big round of subpoenas handed down yesterday. We're going to talk to the head of the committee doing all this in just a moment. Today's most recent group includes some familiar folks, former press secretary Kayleigh McEnany, Trump senior advisor Stephen Miller, and also a guy named John McEntee. Now, he might not be as familiar to you. It's possible that name rings a bell. He was so powerful inside the Trump White House, he has been called the deputy president, which, of course, we don't have in this country. We've got a vice president. We've got a chief of staff for the president, not a deputy president. Doesn't exist. But now we are learning a set of shocking new details about what this sort of Trump alter ego John McEntee did and how he effectively ran the United States government. But before all this, he was actually went viral a decade ago with this video. I actually remember seeing this video when it came out. He was the quarterback for the University of Connecticut's football team. Impressive. He successfully threw all these trick shots, basically these unlikely shots. And again, it's really impressive that he did that. But it is what McEntee did after college that has brought him the most notoriety. After a brief stint as a staffer at Fox News, he joined the Trump 2016 campaign, first as a volunteer, then as the candidate's body man, which is the person who goes everywhere with the president, carries his luggage, gets him his snacks, arranges his hotel. You can see him here working at what some might call an unideal office space in Trump Tower. That's real dedication right there. McEntee followed Trump to the White House until 2018, when he was fired by then White House Chief of Staff John Kelly. McEntee failed to pass a background check, reportedly due to online gambling and issues with his taxes. So the then 27-year-old was escorted out of the White House grounds by security. But that was short-lived. After John Kelly left the White House back in January 2019, Trump rehired McEntee to his re-election campaign because McEntee was nothing if not loyal to the president. And Donald Trump values loyalty above all else, even if he does not actually reciprocate it ever. After about a month back on the job, Trump decided McEntee was due for promotion. Despite having no relevant experience, Trump wanted to appoint him as the director of the White House Presidential Personnel Office. That's actually a pretty big job in any White House. And in that position, he would oversee the vetting and hiring of everyone from ambassadors to cabinet members. Not everyone thought that was a good idea. As The Atlantic reports in an amazing excerpt from John Karl's new book on the Trump administration, one Trump staffer who oversaw the personal office told the president, quote, "I have never said no to anything you've asked me to do, but I am asking you to please reconsider this. I don't think it is a good idea." And Trump took that about as well as you can imagine, threw a temper tantrum, reportedly screamed at that staffer, quote, "You people never effing listen to me. You're going to effing do what I tell you to do." So McEntee got the job and immediately embarked on this ideological effort to purge the White House of those who were insufficiently loyal to the MAGA god Donald Trump. He hired a number of new staffers who worked as enforcers of his agenda, including liaisons, you might think of them as kind of spies, to various cabinet agencies who could use to bully and cajole those offices into doing the president's bidding, or harass low-level employees who were perceived as working against the Trump agenda. In one example, one of McEntee's enforcers noticed a low-level staffer at the Department of Housing and Urban Development had liked a post from the pop star Taylor Swift on Instagram. Specifically, this post, where she encouraged her fans to vote in one photo and displayed cookies decorated with the Biden-Harris logo in another. Now, that is sort of notable, I will say, but that incident was escalated all the way to the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, who reprimanded the staffer's boss. In another particularly notable anecdote, one of McEntee's hires got caught trying to remove a nameplate from a plaque on the wall honoring Miles Taylor. Again, it was like a nameplate on a plaque on the wall with like a bunch of nameplates. It wasn't like there was some big shrine to Miles Taylor somewhere in the Department of Homeland Security. Taylor, of course, the one-time employee of DHS who later revealed he wrote an op-ed and a book anonymously on how he was resisting the Trump agenda from within. And yeah, on the one hand, these anecdotes are kind of funny, but there were real stakes involved here. Again, like I said, McEntee had a very serious and powerful job. His time in the White House Personnel Office went beyond petty squabbles. His team advised the president over the hiring and firing of cabinet officials. when one of McEntee's enforcers was hired to work with the Department of Defense, he told those around him, quote, "I'm going to the Pentagon to fire Secretary of Defense Mark Esper and those deep state bastards." And you know what? He did. McEntee's office wrote Trump a memo recommending he fire Esper, who they believe was working against Trump's agenda by, among other concerns, refusing to use the military to quell protests last summer. Imagine that. And they wrote that memo, and Donald Trump listened. And 6 days after the election, he fired Secretary Esper. And it is worth noting the similarities between McEntee's behavior that was encouraged and applauded by Donald Trump and the kind of ideological enforcers that you see crop up in authoritarian governments of the past. The purging of those allies seen as insufficiently loyal to the leader or to the movement. And like many authoritarians, McEntee was not particularly concerned with a free and fair democracy. Remember, there's a reason the January 6th committee wants to talk to him. On January 1st, McEntee texted Vice President Mike Pence, Chief of Staff, a memo including the memory of Thomas Jefferson to incorrectly suggest that Pence had the authority to overturn a state's electors. Remember, this was the grand plan, right? It's part of the Eastman memo, the White House plan to get Pence to throw out the results of the election and essentially effectively appoint Trump the winner. Part of that pressure campaign to get Pence to go along with the coup, in fact, to be the trigger man for the coup. But look, this is not really about just one White House staffer. McEntee is just a distillation of the mentality that rules MAGA world. Obtaining power at any cost, subverting democracy, purity tests, demands of loyalty. That's how Trump wants to run America. We saw it last night in Florida when the ex-president told Republicans they could not have won the Virginia gubernatorial race without him, even though the Republican candidate in that race kept him at arm's length. We're seeing it now in the House of Representatives, where Republicans are now calling for their 13 colleagues who crossed the aisle to vote for the bipartisan infrastructure bill to be removed from their committee assignments. Now, to be clear, that is wild. That is the kind of punishment reserved for members of Congress who engage in particularly egregious conduct. Here's some examples. Former New York Republican Congressman Chris Collins, he lost his committee seat when he was indicted on insider trading charges. Former Iowa Republican Congressman Steve King lost his for openly sympathizing with white nationalism. Georgia Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene lost hers for promoting racist, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and advocating violence against her fellow members of Congress. That's the bar, normally, for this kind of thing, to lose your committee assignments. But now there's apparently a growing movement of Republicans who want to take that drastic step, the purge, right? The enforcer. Oh, you like that post. Oh, you voted the wrong way. They want to punish their colleagues for daring to vote for a bipartisan roads and bridges bill. Not about policy. It's about complete, total loyalty. As the presidency, Donald Trump and his deputy president, John McEntee, built an authoritarian cult inside the White House and the federal government that culminated in a violent insurrection. It's the vision they have now actively that they are cultivating and working on for the American government once again, should he be allowed back into the halls of power.